Hello everyone. So before we get started today, I just want to show you how animals in the wild, even though they're on their species-specific diet, recover from stressful situations. Once the situation has finished and they want to get out of that fight or flight mode, that nervous state, they want to relax, get rest and recover in what we call the ventral vagal state. Now, this is part of what we call the polyvagal theory. Now, this was developed by Dr. Stephan Borges, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. I also have videos specifically talking about the polyvagal theory in the members area. I also have an article I wrote about the polyvagal theory on my substack. So if you want to know more about the polyvagal theory, just please, go check out my substack. There's more information in those articles. Okay, so let's have a look at how this animal recovers from a stressful situation. Now, we start this video, I just want you to know the animals are not hurt. There's no blood or guts or anything like that, but you'll just see how this animal recovers after the attack. Okay. Obviously, the cat is out shopping for food. He thinks he's got a feed here, but he's chased off. Now watch the animal's stomach. Notice it breathing. Okay. He's calming down his nervous state. And before this, he was running away. He was in that fight or flight mode. Okay, the sympathetic nervous state. Now he's shaking off the trauma. And he's using slow breathing to bring himself back into that ventral vagal state where he's calm and rested and he can get on with his day without thinking about the traumatic experience. And he's up and about and off to enjoy the rest of his day. Now, that's how animals deal with stressful situations. They breathe and they shake off the trauma, but it's the breath work that brings them out of that fight or flight mode and brings them back into that ventral vagal mode where they can rest and recover and think straight and get on with their day. But if we are trapped in the fight or flight mode all day, or if it gets worse, we go into the dorsal vagal mode, then you just shut down. We can't control our thoughts, we can't organize our thoughts, and so on and so on. There's a chain reaction. But our nervous system is directly connected to all our organs as well. So it causes oxidative stress, it causes all sorts of organ damage as well. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm DC. So today I'm going to show you a very easy, simple exercise that has a very big impact. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what is called the polyvagal theory. Okay. Now, the polyvagal theory was developed by Dr. Stephen Borges. And it's simply a theory about the different state of mind that we all live in. So you have people who are depressed, anxious, angry, and in what they call a freeze state, and it's called the dorsal vagal state. Below that, you have what is called the sympathetic state, where people are in the fight or flight sort of mode, and that's where anxiety and things start. And then, as they progress, if things get worse, then it goes into the dorsal vagal. But the recovery and rest state and social state is called the ventral vagal state. Now, that's the state where we want to be most of the time. When you are constantly living in the fight or flight, the sympathetic sort of nervous state, which activates conditions like ADHD and other things, you're also causing a lot of oxidative stress on your mitochondria, which is what a lot of people are now saying is the number one cause of most diseases, okay, such as cancer. Okay, and part of that oxidative stress obviously comes down to the way we are breathing, the efficiency of the way we breathe, and delivery of oxygen to our cells, to the mitochondria. And obviously the right diet and food plays a very big role in that as well. But like I've said before and spoken about many times on my channel, is you have the substrate side and you have the oxygen, the breathing side. Okay, so, and trying to develop the efficiency of oxygen delivery to the cells, which includes having enough CO2. And people, humans in particularly, are very able to control what state of mind that we are actually living in, simply by changing the way we breathe. Now, a lot of people who, for example, will breathe with their mouth open, especially while they are sleeping, when they wake up, if you had 7 hours of sleeping with your mouth open, breathing through your mouth, you're waking up in that sympathetic nervous state where you feel anxious, you feel tired, you feel stressed before you even get out of bed. Okay, and then if you continue the way of breathing, a lot of people will then go into the dorsal vagal system, and then they just don't want to do anything, or they just can't think straight to do what they want to do for the day. Now, a lot of people, when they fix their diet, a lot of these problems do go away, but not all of them. Okay, and you do want to activate into the sympathetic state at certain times. Say first thing in the morning, you want to have some activation. Okay, so you want to have what they call a hormetic stress. That is a controlled elevation, because that stimulates cortisol, which is your wake-up hormone. So first thing in the morning, go out and see the sun and you get the cortisol. But it also gives you that drive to do something throughout the day. Okay, but you don't want to have that all day long and progressing and getting worse. Okay, so let's get into the breathing side of it. I'm going to give you 3 very simple, easy to do techniques that don't look like much, but have a very big impact. 1 on nitric oxide production, and 2 on bringing us back into that ventral vagal state of mind, so our body can relax, digest, and recover. And it also helps us to organize our thoughts and put everything back into perspective for us as well. Now, the first one is called cardiac coherent breathing. And this is basically, obviously, the cardiac being our heart, and coherent meaning trying to bring our breath in line with lowering our heart rate. And this is the way we should all breathe in a normal resting phase. Okay, so it's just a simple breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Now, when we breathe, our posture has a big effect on that as well. Because like I said before, you want to breathe in through the diaphragm. Okay, so like the diaphragm will pull the air into the lungs, and when you relax the diaphragm, it'll just relax the air out. Okay, so a nice straight frame. Now you can do this standing up, just sitting down, or you can do it in an office chair. You can do this absolutely anywhere. You can do this on the subway, you can do this driving, and you should do this throughout your day. I also recommend it to start your day before you even get out of bed. Just the first thing you do is be mindful of the way you are breathing. If you've been mouth breathing all night, okay, you're going to be anxious and so on. So you get into the habit of breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, count 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. It's very easy, very simple thing to do. Okay, so to make sure you're using the diaphragm, put your hand at the bottom of your ribs, just under your chest, between your chest and your belly button. Okay, and then just breathe in and feel that expansion in a 360 degree. Okay, not just out and back. Okay, so 360 degrees, you can feel the diaphragm. You breathe in for 5 seconds and then out for 5 seconds. And just relax the air out. Now, as I said, this is just a normal resting state breathing, but it's something that a lot of people just don't do these days. In fact, 90% of the world's population do not breathe effectively. And I think it was Lao Tzu who said that the perfect human breathes as though they are not breathing at all. So you shouldn't hear yourself breathing. Okay, you just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, and practice this until you make it a regular habit. Try and practice this for 5 minutes, 3 times a day. That's all you need to do. It's not a big time commitment. Just 5 minutes, 3 times a day will retrain your nervous system to automatically bring you back into that ventral vagal state. You can do this absolutely anywhere, even if you're sitting on the subway going to work, or you just even in a room full of people, no one's going to think anything of it. You're just breathing, okay? They're not even going to hear you breathing. Okay, so just be mindful of the way you breathe, and that will retrain your vagal system. Now, the next one is called Nadi Shodhana, but in translation, it's just alternate nostril breathing. Now, when you alternate between nostrils on the inhale and exhale, you are actually stimulating both sides of the brain, for one. 2, you are again stimulating the release of more nitric oxide through the nasal passages. Okay. You are also retraining your nervous system to return into that ventral vagal state as well. Okay. So it's a very simple process. You just, on the inhale, block one nostril. Again, we want to breathe through the diaphragm. Okay, it's the same as the first exercise. And breathe in. Now this time, it doesn't have to be 5 seconds in or 5 seconds out. But the longer you exhale, the more relaxed you're going to become on the exhale, and the more nitric oxide you will produce. Okay. So for a good example, try 5 seconds in and 10 seconds out. But if you can't do that, just do a comfortable count. It doesn't have to be any specific time. Just make it a comfortable breathing in and then a comfortable relaxed exhale. Okay, so breathing in. Okay, then swap nostrils and breathe out. And breathe in the same nostril you just exhaled. Change nostrils again and exhale. Breathe in. Change nostrils again and exhale. And just continue. Okay. Now, even if you just do this just 5 minutes a day in the morning, or post-workout, for example, after you've just come home from the gym, you want to get into that ventral vagal state as soon as possible after the mTOR release, and get into that vagal relax and digest mode to speed up recovery. Okay. Alternate nostril breathing is brilliant. Okay. And you're also stimulating more nitric oxide, vasodilator, and so on, as I spoke about before. So these are good exercises for anyone to do, and you can do them every day. It's not like an activation breath work where you do a lot of lung breathing or stomach breathing or mouth breathing and so on to get to different states for different reasons. Okay, this is something retraining your autonomic nervous system for relaxation, recovery, and so on, which we should do every day. Now, the third one is a variation of the Nadi Shodhana, or the alternate nostril breathing. The third one is from Brahmari. Now, Brahmari breathing, or the nickname is bee breath, because you hum. Because when you hum, you release more nitric oxide. You can do this by exhaling through the mouth or through the nose. Again, through the nose, you will produce more nitric oxide. But the humming vibrates the sinuses to release more nitric oxide. So I like to combine the Brahmari with the Nadi Shodhana and use alternate nostril breathing. And again, you can do this absolutely anywhere. You might feel a little bit embarrassed doing it in front of a group of people, but if you're in your office or in your car, on your lunch break or anywhere, you can still use your alternate nostril breathing and just add a hum on the exhale. And even if you just do this 5 minutes a day, you'll feel a big difference in your relaxation and your state of mind, and just generally how the way you feel afterwards. Okay, so again, we'll do alternate nostril, but this time we're going to hum on the way out. And again, it doesn't really matter what timing you do this for. I like to do it on a 5-10, so I do 5 seconds in and 10 seconds out, but just do what feels comfortable for you at the time. So even if you do, say, 4 seconds or 3 seconds in and just relax the air out, try a hum as long as you can. Okay, and that will stimulate more nitric oxide production. Okay, so breathe in. Swap sides, okay, swap nostrils and breathe out. And breathe in. And swap sides and breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay, so you should feel on the exhale, and you feel that humming, you should feel a slight tickle in your sinuses. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, so you're doing what's called a Nadi Shodhana, okay, or alternate nostril breathing, with a Brahmari variation by adding the hum. Okay, so those are 3 very easy, very simple exercises that you can do. It doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of effort either. And remember, not all breath work is about serious activation and exercise and so on and so on. These are very simple exercises that help retrain your autonomic nervous system, retrain your breathing, make you a more effective breather, okay, and balance your CO2 oxygen levels in your blood, which will give you a much more efficient oxygen to cell ratio, okay, and would also reduce heart rate and increase heart rate variability, and so on and so on and so on. There are a number of great benefits that you get just from very simple, small breathing exercises just like these 3. It does also help if you do these exercises while listening to a good frequency like 432 hertz or 528 hertz sort of thing. These are things that I also incorporate, because it just helps to bring you back down into that ventral vagal state. So remember, the cardiac coherent, try to do that, 5 minutes, just 3 times a day, to retrain your autonomic nervous system, to retrain your breathing habits, and to equalize your CO2 to oxygen and reduce heart rate and so on. And plus 2, the Nadi Shodhana with the Brahmari variation. Okay, at least once a day, 5 minutes is all it takes. It's not a very big time commitment, but it can have a very big impact on your health and your state of mind. So I will do some more breathwork videos that are just specifically breathing for you, and we'll do a full breathwork session together. And if that's something that appeals to you, just let me know in the comments, and I will work on a video just for breathwork and no explanations. And I'll show you exactly how it works. Okay? Alright, so have a great day, everyone, and make it a day that means something.